Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 47 of Thessia, our Australian-inspired build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. For those that missed the live stream over the weekend, Ascension now has a big suburb, where we took inspiration back from Cairns, of course, which is the town that inspires Ascension. So thank you for hanging out on the stream. We've got lots of little green belt, little custom church in the suburb as well. It turned out really nicely. However, in today's episode, what we're going to do is a build I've been looking forward to for a while, the Aussie Super Pit, huge mining district and huge pit mine. These things are all over Australia and they're absolutely enormous. So we'll take some inspiration from Google Earth as well, of course, as we begin to piece together one of Thessia's largest industries. Let's get stuck into it, shall we? So I've been rather excited for today's build for quite a while. So this big hill here is going to end up becoming the Thessia Super Pit. But there's some things I want to bear in mind. Certainly the sightline from Valkyrie I don't want to be disturbed. So this hillside here I want to maintain as though essentially Valkyrie has been protected from the horrific mining that goes on over here. And then the other side of town, which is what we're going to do when we develop a town out here, because this whole area is going to take 4 or 5 episodes to come together, so we'll have our mining town based around this peninsula of land that comes out, but definitely want to protect Valkyrie from the views. So first of all, let's dig into the terraforming, right? Always the most important and most interesting things with these builds, and we haven't done, I guess, going to be a super pit to this scale before, so we want to come deep down here. Again, Editing Egg will be leaving Google Earth footage up for us. This thing is insane in Australia. There's quite a few of them as well. Of course, precious metal mining, absolutely horrendously destructive to the earth. But they're crucial for bringing out the natural elements and resources that make up the devices that we watch these videos on. So I think there's a lesson for us all there, isn't there? Anyway, let's just get into the episode, shall we? So, probably deeper than this, I think. Yeah, let's, oh wait, no, is that map depth? Really? Is that how... That is the limit of what we can go to. Okay. Well, that changes my plans then. I thought it would be... I guess this is pretty deep, right? This is pretty deep. So let's spread our mine to where we want it to fill. So we'll go for here. And again, just want to make sure I'm going to keep checking that view from Valkyrie that I've not disturbed the view. Yeah. So essentially want to make a dome. Like a sort of a semicircle, right? Out of this mine. Chisel a little bit into here as well. And that should roughly be what I'm after, I think. I think I'm happy with that. So now, because we have the wonderful world of Network Multi-Tool, we can use the slope function to kind of sort out our gradients, if you like. So coming into the mine, I think we're just going to have some pretty sensible dirt roads kind of peeling off of the national road here. We'll also have one sort of down here as well. We'll have a couple different connections, and then again, kind of similar to what we did with the farm, you know, want everything to feel like it's bloody miles away, because Australia's just so big it takes ages to get anywhere. I want to make sure you've got to drive down a bit of a dirt road before you actually arrive at the mine. So let's come this way. It should be fine. And same thing over here as well. So we do have a little bit of height differentiation going on here as well, we can see, can't we? So let's do some terraforming here before we start with this dirt road. Let's bring along this height, and I'd love a little peak here, just as you're sort of coming across this road. You can almost kind of glimpse what's going on. So let's have that, and then we will bring our brush size down a little bit here. And then let's slope up to this point, and we'll have... I think I'd like the mine to maintain a bit of a lip around it as well. Almost like you can see where the natural hill sort of used to arc up before it was obviously sliced away with these mines. If you're interested in this sort of infrastructure, definitely go ahead and check them out. Like I mentioned, there's some really big ones in Australia. Siberia, so sort of Siberian Russia is also home to a lot of these insane strip mines as well. So I bring this dirt road along here, and eventually it's just going to run around the edge of the facility. Now, I also think we'll probably have an access road into this mine from the eventual town as well. And we can probably do that with an elevation, but we'll worry about that, I think, when we come to do the town. I think we'll just have a little bridge come across over here, because we do have the rail to also bear in mind here too. It's also very possible when we come to build the town over here, we might actually move the rail to the left of the national road and have the rail going through the town. Maybe it might be a bit more appropriate position. But for right now, we'll leave it here. So this is going to go all the way around, and it's going to meet up with this one here. Cool. So we'll set up a mine industry and a bit of a processing center using the mine DLC assets, so this thing actually functions. But now I'd like to create one of the entrances into the mines, and this thing's going to be very twisty-turny, as you would imagine. I want it to be quite snaky. Now, not to worry at all about the heights at the minute, because it's all going to be network multi-sloped. So let's trip back to there. So I'd like the deepest part of the mine to, of course, be in the middle. Let's grab a little height here, and we'll set this layer up here as well. So we always say, of course, you know, with the terraforming, these things tend to look a lot worse before they start to look good. But we almost want it to look worse in this regard, just because of the nature of the build. So let's get rid of that. So we also want to actually paint in our ore resource as well, which is going to be done here, which will remove a lot of the grass texture for us. It will really kind of just dry out and dirt up this whole landscape. Now, I don't want it to be totally ore. Would like some of the natural sort of features to remain. I think even as well, a little bit of the sort of natural, you know, what remains of the Thessian rainforest, if you like, before this thing was put into place. So kind of following that ore texture with your tree brush, I think, can be quite a nice idea as well. We'll have some larger forest structure here too. Which again, looking from Valkyrie. Yeah, ignorance is bliss if you live in Valkyrie, isn't it? So people over here are like, oh, look at that nice tree line. But it's really nice over there. And the closer you get to it, you start to see these scars in the earth, and then you see the whole super pit as you get down into it, right? Very dramatic. As you can tell. It's very dramatic. So let's keep pushing up these layers. I want lots of different sort of layers to appear throughout the mine as well. So we'll make our deepest point right in the middle and just keep chiseling out those layers. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then we'll push back. And that one's not too much of a jump there, is it? So let's make this one quite a bit higher. Let's do this one next. Maybe even a bit higher than that. Yeah, something like that, I think, is what I'm after. I think I'm roughly happy with that, I think. Not too horrific. You can also see as well where I'd probably want another entrance road going down here. So let's slope up from here, and then we'll bring that one in there. And I think there, usually I'd terraform that out, but I'm quite happy to have that sort of maintained there. Maybe a touch of softening required, but it's another ridge along the mine, isn't it? So I'm pretty happy with that, at least, anyway. So let's come back to our dirt roads, and what we will do now is just make sure we're at ground level. I wouldn't mind actually also drawing this on with the topography tool as well, just so I can make sure I'm sort of sticking to each of those layers. And now I just want to give each layer a little dirt road ring, essentially. So that establishes various different layers for the pit now. So now coming back to this road that we did over here, let's go ahead and get this connected in now. So again, don't worry about heights just yet. Network multi-tool is going to sort all that out for us. So let's come into the mod. About our road tools first as well. And we want to grab network multi-tool, and we want to grab the slope function. And then we'll go from here down to here. Cool. That's just going to give us a much more, I would say sensible gradient, but there's still pretty insane gradients around these mines. And then just want to soften out the landscape there. Just so it starts to blend and peel into that bottom layer. And I mentioned I want to also have the mine maintain a little bit of a lip around it, so don't want to totally soften that away either. Cool. And now we've got a nice little switchback mining track that comes down into the pit. And I reckon we'll also do the same over here as well. So let's have another entrance come from this way. We're not really worrying about heights at the minute yet. It's not what we're here to worry about. Get it in. And then we'll grab a touch more network multi-slope and we'll go from here. I guess we'll go up to the top, because that's going to help deform our terrain a little bit more too. And then just a touch of terraforming and trying not to remove the features I'm happy with. Also exposing a lot of that rock texture is quite important for me as well. But then we don't have to worry about doing the switchback ourselves, right? Network multi-tool can just do it for us and we'll have some pretty gnarly gradients in there. So I'm pretty happy with the structure of the Thessian super pit there as well. So now it's actually turned it into a DLC area. So we'll grab ourselves, of course, ore industry. And we'll grab our main building, and I reckon we'll just have this on an offshoot of dirt track just about where the mine begins. And we can sort of tear this up against the rest of the infrastructure. You'll be able to see this as you drive past this area. Oh, I actually really like that. You can kind of really see where the earth has been gouged out there in that kind of bowl structure, can't you? I really like that, actually. Obviously pretty horrific. These things are massively destructive to the environment, but in terms of like an infrastructure point of view, they're very cool. So let's just, I think, use a bit more soften here. I can see where I want to correct a little bit of that lip there. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm after. And we're also going to name the Thessia pit today after a wonderful Aussie subscriber, Bad Wolf, for all her help during the Thessia series, telling me where cool things are, etc. So we go for the, let's go for the Wolf super pit. I think it sounds a bit cool, doesn't it? But of course named after Bad Wolf, who is an absolute hero of the people. Thank you so much, Wolf. Really appreciate you. And your cat, Laurie, as well. Wonderful. This is cool, right? I actually could just look at this all day. It's a really neat build, isn't it? Love the tier layer in here. Of course, you can add as many tiers and layers on as you want as well. These things can just keep getting infinitely taller and steeper. So I don't actually know what sort of mining goes on at the super pit, whether or not it's kind of tunnels or blast mining or excavation. I'm just not entirely sure what goes on. But I think for the sake of Thessia, we're going to use a bunch of our large underground ore mines, which we can place in about here. So with these, they kind of look like they want to go into the back of something, right into one of these little indents. So I think that is what we'll let them do. So let's move this guy. Now, of course, he's going to lose his connection, but what I want to do really is align that kind of dome there on the back of it, so it looks like it's actually going underground, kind of, you know, down into the earth. We're going to have the underground ore mines here. So I'll have that on there. Let's also re-establish its connection up here as well. So I've since learned that the enormous kind of bucket excavators aren't actually there for mining. They're there for kind of, I guess, filtering through all the crap that's brought out of the mine. So I don't think we'll have bucket excavators here, because we tend to use them in every mine, so I think it'd be good to give them a little bit of a break. So we'll give another one over here as well. Break this up over here. And the more of that gnarly cliff texture we can create, the better, essentially. So we'll have this one here. And we'll run that one down to it. That'll provide its connection. I've also got a whole bunch of pile decals around here as well. So during our detailing we can do, you know, lots of this sort of stuff. There's various different colours and sizes and shapes of them and whatnot. That'll be a lot of fun for creating piles and stuff in the bottom, so we'll do a lot of that space around here. Now I wouldn't mind actually just checking the tooth excavator here. Like it is sifting through piles we place around it, which might make passing a bit more convincing. I'm tempted to go with the the red dust, or the darker colours at least. Place down a few of these. Kind of these decals as well that you can place around the bottom of them, so they kind of bleed out sensibly rather than, you know, immediately. Let's go ahead and get that red one here as well. You know, it's not just such an abrupt end to the texture. This kind of stuff here. Which I think would be pretty cool. And will probably give some more purpose toward our teeth excavator being down here as well, I think. So I'm not totally averse to it being here, maybe. I guess we'll sort of see. We'd also definitely have some surface painted through the bottom as well. Although not everywhere, I would like some cliff and grass to remain, because this covers the cliff texture, doesn't it? It does indeed. So want to be careful of that. It's making sure it's really within the, essentially the spaces without cliff texture is where we want it, isn't it? Bring our brush size down here a little bit too. Fill all this in. Here we go. We can have that like that. So that will supply our mines, of course, once they're actually hooked into a road network, because they do need it in a minute. Let's have this one come. I might do some more little tricky switchback things here. Use network multi-tool as well, just to slope that out. And then, I guess also this way as well. Cool, so we have that infrastructure established right on the bottom of the pit now, which I'm pretty happy with, don't mind that at all. And we'll add different mines as well as we kind of climb up the different layers here. I think we'll pretty much stick to the underground mines, and probably wouldn't be averse either to a bit of medium ore mineage, I think, over here somewhere. Somewhere where we can see the animated crane, because I think it always helps, doesn't it? Maybe we'll have that kind of over here. Again, more excuse to look like it's sifting through those piles once we start getting them around everywhere. I think it'd be quite cool. I actually wonder, just because we have anarchy, how to actually grab one of these big decals and anarchy it into the teeth of the bucket excavator. I guess it does actually make it look like it's then scooping that up, doesn't it, to filter it through onto the conveyor over here. Yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see. So yeah. Different mines to be had. But something that's also present in the Aussie Super Pit in particular is the presence of a little... Well, it's not little, it's actually quite large and disgusting. This is something little about it. But there's definitely a processing centre here as well, where you expect to find things like the glass manufacturing plant, the rotary kilns, fiberglass, etc. So I want to find a place to put those in. They're pretty nearby to the mine, so again, don't really want them here, because don't want to disturb that view from Valkyrie. So, how about here? Because I wouldn't mind actually having the national road kind of pass by that infrastructure, because there is sort of arterial roads and highway roads running alongside this thing from the town that's in Australia. So, why don't we have it sort of here? Then we can have this as a mass processing centre for all of the ore that is ripped out. So I definitely want to maintain that lit between the mine as well. I think that's pretty cool there, isn't it? Why don't we keep accentuating that layer? And I wouldn't mind a little bit of a layer there as well between the roads. Going to be quite nice, isn't it? Put that there. So obviously just take care of that forest we put down a minute ago. Not really needed here at the minute. Let's bring our dirt road through here. And we'll have this as a bit of an entrance into the centre. And then let's really start placing down some road frames, and quite similar to what we did with Ilos's oil refinery, for anyone that is still around from that particular episode. I almost want to make kind of a facility out of these things here, okay? So that's a little dominant to have right next to the road, isn't it? Why don't we have this essentially as part of the sort of inner facility. So we'll set up a little district here. So let's have this one over there. Now, I'd love to find a nice fusing for this asset. Now, I'm sure we've actually done one before, haven't we? A fused rotary key. I think even in Orchid Bay we might have done one, but obviously vanilla fusing, just really orientation. But I reckon if we were to bring out the road here, I think the most sensible combination of these assets would possibly be the two Chungus bits over here. Now we could explore that fuse, and actually I don't think massively hate that. What I'm looking to have is kind of walkable structure where workers would pass through here. I'm also pretty tempted as well to actually remove a lot of the fencing around them using multi-tool. So if we use the unlock function and then just unlock these segments of network fencing, you can then delete them, which leads it to be much more convincing then that it's kind of one cohesive facility. And then you imagine workers would pass by all these areas underneath to get to different sectors of the processing plant. And there's also a nice bit of symmetry there, isn't there, as well, with the pipes and the towers. Either that or we fuse together the two large sections where all of these hoppers are. We could have it there as well. I think either way I want the process of network multi-unlocking the fences to remain. So the other fusing I think would be to combine the hoppers together, which does give us, I think, a much more convincing larger building, doesn't it? When you've got that chunky ass sort of combined together. Yeah, I think that's the angle I want, actually. So we'll go with that one. Let's just push off these frames now. And then we'll make sure that they are actually connected in. You can come right down here. I don't mind the car parking maintaining either, that's okay. So let's draw you up. You are now connected, you will receive ore in time. Hopefully we should... Oh yes, there we go. There is a road maintenance vehicle driving around the mines, of course. So hopefully we'll see some trucks coming around soon enough. There you go, there's one coming out here. Ore truck. Where are you going? We're delivering products to ore storage. All the way over here. Just this miles away. It's fine though. It is, I guess, ore storage, right? That's what it's there for. But, yeah. Okay, I'm happy with this. So, I like that. Let's come ahead and grab another asset. So, we're producing metal, which is great. So, let's have a look at some glass production now. So, again, in an effort to make this a larger facility, I want to find a sensible place to piece these assets together now. So my initial impression is having this building here fused into this one, so it looks like, again, hopefully without encroaching upon anything significant, you can pass into the fiberglass plant from the rotary kiln. So something to that effect is what I'm sort of thinking of. Yeah, so again, it's all very similar buildings, isn't it? There's definitely some surface painted to be had here. It looks like maybe you could come through, yeah, down this little alleyway, which then starts to create the facility, doesn't it? Through here as well, of course, is always a good shout. I don't hate that at all. I think I'm happy with that. We could also bring the industrial steel plant over here as well, which is a significant beast, isn't it? Pretty massive, this one. But it looks like we might have room for it, though, actually. We might have room for this. It might mean the adjustment of some roads and networks around here, but I'm not against having it in. Yeah, something to that effect. Just thinking we've totally destroyed the view from Bill's holiday home over here. For those that don't watch the live streams, we actually put together a holiday home for City Planner. For whenever he comes to Thessia. It's got a really nice place on the beach here. very isolated. Lucky boy. The steel plant, I don't feel, is a horrendous addition into here. I almost think actually everything kind of wants to be rotated 180 degrees now. I can sort of see it in action. So why don't we do that? Let's grab everything and then just spin it around. So we'll position this side, I think might be a touch better. Yeah, I'll do like that. I think just having the steel plant set back a little bit is quite appropriate, I think. Yeah, and then we can have all this stuff right here. Of course, whilst also maintaining vital connections for them. Also come through and remove a lot of these fences here as well. Because they are starting to get in the way. We will draw back our own fencing as well, of course. So let's come off of guideline and road length here. And just want that to come right through. Up to there. Make sure we hit this connection as well. Cool, and that should be everyone connected bar this guy who just needs a very quick little road. Possibly running into that like that, and then we'll feed that one off. All of our snapping angles here, and then we can piece everything together. So we're all happy, I think. And can we do some node controller on these dirt roads? Kind of widen it all off there. I think it'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? I'd be happy with that. So essentially having the processing plant now as one of the entrances into the pit. And there's probably cause, I think, here as well for maybe a little bit more of a switchback action. Let's do... It's going to be quite a fun little entrance to detail this as well. Get some rocks around it. Something like that, I think. And then let's just soften all this bit out here. Wouldn't be against a slight retaining wall either for the larger infrastructure. I feel like it'd be appropriate. So is there anything more we want to include here? I reckon certainly some ore storage nearby, while we've got several assets that are starting to consume ore. And I think we'll also put some of the maintenance buildings around down in the bottom here. Maybe we can use these almost as like kind of dump truck depots, maybe. Might be quite cool. Because we do have some dump truck and kind of bulldozer props, so almost pretending like this one here is sort of, I guess, a storage unit for them. Might be pretty cool. So we can have some fun with that. Then we've also got this big, large red building as well, which looks like it definitely belongs with the factory, doesn't it? So once the most intrusive of the fencings have gone, I'd love to, again, make it look as though you can pass from the factory into the nearby warehouse. Have it lined up to some sort of effect like that. Obviously, some props need to be adjusted with Bob, but the same idea there of everything just being part of the same cohesive facility, rather than being kind of individual assets as we place them, I think can be pretty convincingly achieved. Especially once we start bringing Surface Painter in. You get into your sort of first person view here. You can kind of cross from one area to the next with all these little staircases and containers and props and whatnot, making the facility just feel a lot more cohesive, I guess, right? Is the vibe here. And then you cross into the other yard. You can hopefully come down one of these little alleyways here, where hopefully we can take a turn somewhere down here maybe. And this leads us down into another part, and you kind of get the idea, right? That's really what I want to achieve by combining these larger assets to create a bit of a processing centre, which is what we see in Australia as well. There's definitely some sort of on-site processing before the ore. I don't know if it's a refinery. I doubt it is. I imagine that would be handled elsewhere, but I don't know. I have zero knowledge of industrial scale strip mining, but maybe the comments will be able to tell us anyway. But that's going to be our processing center, I think. And at the same time, feels like a good point for a detail in time lapse as well. We got lots of props. There's a ton of surface painter work to do. There's lots of rocks, more mining assets, more decals, and sort of piles of ore ready to be processed. And we're going to get lots of prop trucks around here as well. I'll just flesh out the whole mine with rocks, kind of what remains of an old tree line, and of course helping to protect the view. The very sensitive people that reside in Valkyrie. They don't want their view disturbed. But you know, you glance over the other side of it, and it's horrific. Can you imagine what the view of the mining town is going to have over here? This is what the guys will see who live out this way, just enormous industrial landscape. But a lot of the people that end up living out here will end up working the mine, I think, is the vibe we want to go for. But either way, I'm digressing. Let's go ahead and detail up the Wolf Super Pit, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little detailed review, shall we? Our big industrial processing centre now really dominates the landscape, especially on the approach kind of coming out of Sentinel. You can really see the smoke towers over there, so pretty happy with it. And I think as we begin to build the town around the major ore mine, this will become dual carriageway and will develop some more interesting networks like we've done as kind of Sentinels growing out over here. You know, we kind of give a bit more sort of egg LC, I guess, down towards each of the networks once we kind of get into building it. So expect this roundabout to kind of flow with the dual carriageway as that build comes to fruition. But otherwise, we'll arrive at the mining facility where we do have a little bit of parking ready for anyone that wants to just call in, imagine checking some papers or arrive for work, etc. Whatever kind of general office admin goes on at these sorts of places. Lots of detailing with trees, rocks and overgrowth around where the natural forest would have been before the Orchid Bay, not Orchid Bay, Thessia. I've got Orchid Bay on the brain. What are you thinking about recording that episode? Yeah, what was here before the Thessia mining company arrived, which I guess is called Porco for some reason. Has that always been there? I've never noticed Paul Incorporated running the steel mill before. I swear that's new. Anyway, besides the point, our cohesive facility vibe has really come together now. You can imagine workers walking through all these little different alleyways to reach different parts of the processing facility. And then sort of, you know, cutting across the street, jumping into this yard. But of course there is actually animated workers here, which is always helpful. That's why I wanted to make sure we integrated the Industries DLC stuff in here. Exactly this sort of vibe. And then we got some props here as well, some excavators that are just being stored here. And then a little bit of just fence network extension with a little gate here too. You can see there's very little street view around the strip mine in Australia, but it looks like there's a couple of workers that have put up some 360-degree photos. So I managed to jump into one of them, and you can just see rows and rows of dump trucks that are lined up as part of the fleet, ready to go out and start their shift. So just got lots of rows of dump trucks here, kind of dehumanized the line a little bit, just so it's not so rigid, or I guess humanized it rather. Then over here we also have a workers barracks and a warehouse, which is storing metal, as you can see, which is then being sent to the industrial steel plant over there, of course. And then this is just next to a little truck yard with some forklifts processing the boxes next to a little porter cabin. And that pretty much ties up our kind of processing center here, kind of an introductory area into the strip mine. I can already see a little bit of traffic here backing up as well, can't we, with the addition of that industrial traffic. I'd be interested actually if these industrial trucks here. Yeah, they're going to have to sort of Sentinel way. I thought maybe they'd be taking this way back out to the sort of dual carriageway exit, but they're not. But anyway, regardless, this is going to change, so don't worry too much about the traffic here. And then we'll peek. Oh, I'll tell you what we will do actually is we'll come down this way because it's a little bit nicer. So terraformed in another route that snakes through what would have been kind of a natural gully in the mountain here. And then we come down where we emerge out into the strip mine itself with a little bit of fencing just to help people, well, stop people going over the edge, although I can't imagine these little rickety wooden fences would stop a dump truck. But then we do emerge into the pit, which is really kind of active and vibrant now. There's a lot of very unique prop detailing going on, so we'll start at the top layer over here. So headed back to the workshop and just grabbed more general kind of machinery props, also some kind of like road closed signs here as well, I imagine. These would go around as maybe new roads are excavated into the mine. So just kind of a general storage place here with some porter cabins as well. More road closed signs and some more excavators next to a Chungus crane, which is actually a prop version of the animated one over there. So just have it stationary here, sat next to some of our pile decals, with some little excavators knocking around here as well. Moving down a layer, we will arrive at some more dump truck storage inside the mine itself. And thankfully the guy's got out the ground. He was just laying in the floor here. It's just like blown away by the size of the mine. I mean, imagine little Australian mine worker like, that's a bloody big mine, mate, yeah? And then we've also got some vanilla industry base game or mining props in here as well, just to expand the vibes around the edge of the building, if you like. And then furthermore, we'll drop down into the next one, where I've expanded the palette that comes with the vanilla one. Also have some rocks over here too, alongside the garbage recycling thing, which just helps add some bins, but also some garbage collection here as well, because There was quite a bit of garbage piling up because they don't have a collection point here until, well, Valkyrie or Sentinel's the nearest garbage point, and that's a pretty long way for them to come. So we do just have that down here as well. And then we arrive at the big bucket tooth excavator, which is just a beast, isn't it? So we've got more of those vanilla props around here, and then lots of little cat bulldozers that are essentially piling up, you know, and keep pushing all these mounds of unrefined and unsorted ores and sands and whatnot into the teeth excavator, where it can then be properly processed on its cute little conveyor belt as it's got going on here. And then same vibe around here as well, more of those props, more of those decals. Diggers helping to sort through it all, more bulldozers and whatnot, and then you can actually see here on the tooth excavator where it's actually kind of, you know, pissing out ore. So just decided to actually mound up some ore piles around that, as if, you know, this is the refined ore that's then being sorted into dump trucks to then be taken back up to the processing site outside the mines. So I'll see some nice animation around the teeth excavator. I'm glad we included this. I did say in the episode, I think, actually. I didn't want this here, but really glad we did bring it in. Just such a cool asset, isn't it? And these things are absolutely enormous in real life as well. And then those decals really help blend the pile decals back out as well. They're really cool. And then more vibes over here as well. Another little porter cabin with some road closure signs being stored here. Dump trucks of varying different size and capacities and whatnot. All this around here to be filtered up with some rocks around. The ore piles that are coming out of the mines, and then furthermore there's also another one up here as well, in around some rocks. That has been brought out of this one again, you imagine, to be loaded up and taken elsewhere across the facility to be filtered. Again, where we have dump trucks, little conveyor belt here with a hopper on it, where you imagine stuff is sent up to be added into the pile. And then more bulldozers just helping to organise and compress all these piles before they are filtered by our wonderful animated crane, which looks great from here, doesn't it? So, super cool build. It's always pretty mega building on a scale like this, but I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out, it has to be said. I think we've really managed to replicate that deep scar in the earth that is so common with these big major industrial strip mines. But otherwise, guys, it's going to do it for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. And a massive shout out to all the patrons supporting the channel. If you're interested in becoming a patron, getting a little more out of the channel, including previews, early access when possible, exclusive polls, and indeed a Patreon exclusive podcast called Eggs on Toast, then those links are down below, alongside Instant Gaming, where you can get yourself a super cheap deal as well, should you wish to support the channel. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this, an enormous scar across Thessia's pretty beautiful and pristine landscape up until now. I think we've done a good job of replicating the super pit. I think you could almost argue the super pit itself, if you're actually going to go for a full-blown recreation, would need to be the entire map itself, because it's so big. Absolutely enormous. That'd definitely be something worth checking out, I think. A huge thank you again for all support on Cities Skylines 1 content. I'm glad you guys are still continuing to enjoy it, so thank you so much for that. Thank you for 95k subs as well. Pretty mega that. And if you aren't subscribed and are enjoying the videos, maybe consider just helping us on that journey to 100,000 subs. It'd be very cool. So otherwise, I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.